Hi everyone, welcome. We are going to be continue reading some of our patriotic books about our founding fathers. Today we are going to read this book about Benjamin Franklin. Now he was a real character, that Ben Franklin was, but he was also a thinker. He was an inventor, and we are going to learn more about him. If we look at the cover of our book here, what do you think that is? Maybe we're going to find out as we read our book. Interesting. All right, so this is a picture book of Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin was born in Boston, Massachusetts on January 17th, 1706. That was a long time ago, 1706. Massachusetts was one of the 13 American colonies that belonged to England. There were 17 Franklin children. 17. He had 16 brothers and sisters. Can you imagine? Oh my. Benjamin's father hoped that Benjamin, the 10th of the youngest son, would grow up to be a minister. So here's a picture of what it looked like as Ben Franklin grew up. Cold winters in Boston, Massachusetts. Well, Benjamin always had lots of ideas. When he was still a young boy, he invented swimming paddles that fit over his hands that helped him swim faster. So here they are swimming, and look at, here he is with some paddles that helped him swim faster. That's what inventors do. If they see a problem, they think, how can I make it better? And then they come up with great ideas to make it better. Well, Benjamin began school when he was 8 years old. He had good handwriting and was an excellent reader, but he did poorly in mathematics. Benjamin's father did not have enough money to keep him in school. When Benjamin was 10, he began to work in his father's soap and candle shop. Benjamin cut wicks, poured hot wax into candle molds, and did errands. He hated the smell of wax and the boiling soap. He hated making candles. So it was not his favorite thing to do. Making those candles. But they were important because there was no electricity, right? So people needed candles. Well, Benjamin wrote poetry. He loved books and reading. So when he was 12, his father put Benjamin to work in a print shop. The printer and owner of the shop was James Franklin, Benjamin's older brother. James Franklin printed one of the first newspapers in America, the New England Courant. Benjamin set type and ran the press. He also wrote clever articles for the newspaper. He signed them Mistress Silence Dogood, so no one would know who wrote them. James was angry when he found out that his brother was Silence Dogood. He refused to print any more of his articles. He signed it Silence Dogood rather than his own name. When Benjamin was 17, he left his brother's shop. He went to New York City and then to Philadelphia, where he worked in a print shop. Soon after Benjamin arrived in Philadelphia, he met Deborah Reed. They were married in 1730. Benjamin had 3 children, William, Francis, and Sarah. He found a girl he wanted to marry, and they started a family. Benjamin Franklin had worked so hard since he was a boy. By 1748, at the age of 42, he was a rich man. He retired from the printing business. He spent his time in public service inventing and experimenting. Benjamin Franklin helped set up Philadelphia's first fire and police departments. He helped to start the first lending library and the first hospital in America. He was made postmaster of Philadelphia and later postmaster of all 13 American colonies. Well, Philadelphia was in Pennsylvania, if you didn't know where that was at. So he started as postmaster in Philadelphia, a city in Pennsylvania, and then became postmaster of all 13 colonies. he was a thinker. He was busy inventing and creating and thinking. Benjamin Franklin invented the Franklin stove. It saved fuel and heated a room better than a fireplace. He invented bifocal glasses and a long arm to reach books on high shelves. He also invented the lightning rod that saved many homes from fires. So inventors see things, they see a problem, and they come up with a way to fix that problem. Here's Benjamin Franklin in his library with his long arm, able to reach those books on the high shelf. And there is a picture of the Franklin stove that was more fuel efficient and heated better than a fireplace. Benjamin Franklin was very interested in electricity. In one dangerous experiment, he flew a kite in a thunderstorm. Don't ever do that. When lightning struck the kite, sparks flew from the key attached to the string. Benjamin had proved that lightning is electricity. So he had an idea and he created an experiment to see if that was true. But you don't want to fly a kite in a thunderstorm. Not a good idea. In 1765, Benjamin went to England. He spoke at the English House of Commons against the Stamp Act and a tax which the American colonists felt was unfair. Franklin helped to convince the English to end the tax. Because remember, we were part of the colonies and we were ruled by England. And so they created the taxes and the colonists were saying, no, that's not a fair tax. So Benjamin Franklin went to talk to them. Well, Benjamin Franklin remained in England for 10 years. He told the English king and his advisors to give people in the 13 colonies more rights and more freedoms. But the king refused. Benjamin Franklin returned to the colonies in 1775, soon after the beginning of the American Revolution. He was at the Second Continental Congress and was chosen to help write the Declaration of Independence, a very important document that we have declaring our freedom from the King of England. In 1776, Benjamin Franklin traveled to France to ask the French people to help America in its fight for independence. The French people liked Benjamin's clever stories. They honored him as a great scientist. The French King Louis XIV agreed to send money and weapons to America. So he convinced the French to help us in our fight for independence, to help fight against the English. America won its independence, and Benjamin Franklin helped write the peace treaty with England. Benjamin Franklin returned to Philadelphia in 1785. He was an American hero. When his ship was about to dock, cannons were fired in his honor. Bells were rung, and a crowd waited to greet him. It was a hero's welcome. He was so important in the founding of our father and gaining our freedom. Look at that. They shot off cannons as a way to show them how happy they were. He was back. 2 years later, in 1787, a constitution was being written to govern the new United States. Benjamin Franklin was the oldest delegate at the Constitutional Convention. He was 81 years old. In his final years, Benjamin Franklin wrote his autobiography. He also wrote out against slavery and worked to outlaw it. So he was 81 at the founding of our country during the Constitutional Convention. He had a lot of wisdom. He lived a long time. He saw different types of things, and it really helped him come up with ideas to help write those important documents. So it's always good to have someone who has lots of experience. Benjamin Franklin died April 17th, 1790, at the age of 84. When Benjamin Franklin wrote his will, he called himself Benjamin Franklin, Printer. But people all over the world knew him as more than a printer. They knew him also as a writer, a scientist, an inventor, and a statesman. They knew him as Benjamin Franklin, a great American. And so there's a statue honoring him for everything that he did during his lifetime. This book has a very nice timeline, important dates in his life, when he was born, all the things that he accomplished. Well, not all of them. I'm sure he did many more things, but some of the highlights, the important things that he did, and then when he died in 1790. So that's some interesting information about Benjamin Franklin. And so this picture on the front, we know now that is a printing press where he wrote his letters under a fake name so no one knew who he was. Do good. All right, well, you continue to do good, and we'll read more books. I will see you all later.